Hey YouTube! So I know it's been a while, but I am back to do a video review of If Loving You Is Wrong, Season 3, Episode 6, titled Tippa Haynes. Now, of course, we'll get to who Tippa Haynes is. Before I get started, let me just tell you, generally, I would record from Episode 1. Okay, but my life has been hectic, and I've been working on another project, so I wasn't able to get those episodes, but I'm going to be going strong from here, starting at episode 6. So, episode 6, pretty good. It gave me enough. It didn't drag too much. So, let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so it starts off with Alex and Randall. Okay, so Alex is walking outside of her house, and she has her 2 kids with her. And then Randall starts walking outside of his house. Well, of course, when they approach each other, you know it's going to be some mess. Like, you already know, like, it's going to be some insults thrown back and forth. And they probably shouldn't be having this discussion in front of kids. So, she sends her kids inside. Okay. So then instantly come the insults from Randall because Randall is mad because he's like, what? You're saying you might have another baby's daddy? Last time I checked, that baby is mixed. And I'm sure I'm the only black man you've ever been with, so I don't know why you're playing games, but if you're not playing games, then you must be a thought. Like, you have to be. What other black guy do you know? Lucian? And she's like, actually, yes. And I have been with Lucian. And I'm like, girl, Alex, okay? First of all, I know you're lying, okay? So I don't know if there's people out there that think that maybe there's really a possibility that she was with Lucian, but that's a lie. Second of all, why would you do that to Natalie? Third of all, you've already done it to, what's her name, Marcy, with Randall. So in his mind, yeah, you probably would do it to Natalie because you already did it to your other friend. Okay, so I'm thinking to myself, you know what? You should just stop while you're ahead because then she starts speaking in detail about Lucian. She's like, I have a problem. I have a sex problem. And he says, yeah, you probably do because, I don't know, she was like sexually abused or something as a kid. I think that's what they said. Whatever the case, she's like, yeah, I have a sex problem. And, I still think about it. I still think about us. And, sometimes when I'm up in my big bed late at night, I get up and I look out the window at that shed. And you know what I do? So, like, Randall is getting real, like, slightly hot and bothered. He's trying to act like he's not. But she was like, you want to know what I do? I think about Lucian. And I call Lucian and I make sure Natalie is gone at work. And I call Lucian to finish the deal. And I'm like, come on, Alex. Like, you're going a little too far. What I've noticed from Alex in these, like, first few episodes of this season, like, she's just as evil as her parents. Like, she is just the lesser of two evils. Like, her parents were an extreme. But clearly, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And when you stoop so low to tell the judge that that baby is not Randall's simply because you don't want Randall to have the baby, you can't have the baby, but you don't want him to have the baby, although it is his child. That is just some evil stuff. Like, whatever. I personally feel like neither one of them are putting the baby's best interests, like, at heart. Like, the baby needs to be with one of the parents. Personally, I had hope in what's his face, Randall. I could not stand Randall before. Then it was really hard watching him go through all that torture, and then when they went to the extent to try to hang this man, no, I really felt sorry for him. I was like, you know what, they deserve everything they get and he needs to get his baby. But now Randall is really tripping in real life. So whatever. I neither one of them are stable, but whatever. So then, while she's getting all up on him and she's talking in a sexual tone, she starts getting really close to him and touching him down low, and he's breathing really hard, and you can tell he kind of wants to be with her. But he was like, you're playing games. You have something up your sleeves. And I'm like, Randall, why would you even for 2 seconds think that it's anything different? Whatever the case. Speaking of the devil, Eddie starts driving up and like really acts as if he's gonna just like ram right into them, right into Alex's house with his police car because he sees Alex all up on Randall. So, of course, he stops right at the last minute before the car even hits the house, and they part ways. And so he gets out the car fuming mad, like, Alex, what are you doing? And why was you so close to him? And da da da. So her kids are like a little stressed out at this point. So they come outside like, what is going on? Like, what is Uncle Eddie doing? She's like, kids, just go in the house. It's fine. He didn't run into anything. They're like, he probably wasn't paying attention. Mom, he was probably texting and driving, which is really bad because he's a police officer. They're little smart aleck kids. And so, she's like, I know, it's fine. Just go in the house. He's like, yeah, go in the house, kids. And then they, like, keep talking stuff. Like, they're not listening. So he's like, you know what? Take your little tail in the house. But, of course, he's, like, cussing at them. And so, like, she's like, don't talk to my kids like that. And then she finally goes away. And so he's like, I can't even believe you. You would be outside and you're all hugged up on this man after all that he's gone, after all that you've put Brad through. And I'm telling Brad, I'm going straight to his job and I'm going straight to I'm telling him everything. And she's like, you know what, Eddie? There's no winning with you. Do whatever you got to do. I don't even care. And she like turns around to go into the house. And then, of course, he stops her, and he's like, I know you've been talking to Lucian. She's like, what are you talking about? Because, she just told a lie about Lucian. So she's like, whoa, what? And so he's like, no, I know that Lucian has been, like, asking you about Andrew. And she's like, I'm not in that, okay? I don't have anything to do with that. And so Eddie was like, well, I just want you to know that you ran him over. She's like, what? No, I didn't. Like, I took the car and went to my parents' house. And then he was like, I'm telling you, you were in a rage. You were frantic to get to your parents. And in that rage, you got in that cop car, ran him over. I came and I found him. I saw him on the side of the road. Like, you ran him over. And then I had to get to your parents' house. Okay, so she's like, no, I didn't. And I'm not saying that, that didn't happen. And then he was like, you murdered him. She's like, where is Andrew? And he's like, he's dead. She's like, what? Where's he at? He was like, shoot, I don't know. Like, the area he was in. That's the crazy part of town. All those woods and then the alligators in the river and all that. Like, I don't know. But he's dead. So I wonder if Eddie's like saying that, or is Andrew really dead? Because Andrew was like a stupid cop. He was too naive, and that's why he got in the position that he was in. But he was a good guy. Like, I didn't want him to die. But whatever the case, she's like, I'm not saying that, and I know I didn't do that. And he's like, that is the story, and I'm telling you what it is, and you're sticking to it. Or else, if you keep going around town telling people lies, then I'm going to tell them the truth, which we know that his truth is not the truth. Okay, so then it goes to Kelly at her job. The same red dress she'd been wearing for a couple of episodes now. Kelly is stressed out to the max. But life doesn't stop. Her cell phone starts ringing. And who is it? An inmate from jail. And we all know this inmate is Justice's father. Now, I'm a little confused, and maybe somebody can update me. Does Justice not know his father, or was he so young when his father went to jail that he just doesn't remember his father? Because Justice never like speaks of his father at all. And Kelly is saying, oh, well, your mom gave me a hard time, and she came and took the key from me, and like for when you get out of jail. And then he's like, okay, and what's wrong with that? And she's like, that is my son. And then he's like, okay, yeah, and I'm my mom's son, and she's just concerned about me. She was like, yes, but you have to understand, like, my son, I have to explain this to him. I can't just move you in here and I didn't say anything about it. Like, it's gonna take some time. And I'm thinking, but isn't that his daddy? Like he doesn't think that anybody else is his father, so he knows that he has a father out there that exists. Do you want to tell him, like, hey, your dad was in jail? I'm not going to tell you the details, or I'll incriminate myself and I'll look different in your eyes. But your dad's in jail, he's getting out, and he's coming back to be with us. Like, I mean, just say he was out of town or something. Shoot, I don't know. Like, make up something, but I just don't really think it's that big of a deal. Now maybe he doesn't want she doesn't want him to move in because of this crazy Travis stuff that's going on, but yeah, because people keep dying. Like, he probably needs to just stay in jail right now. That's the safest place for him. Because Travis is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So, speaking of Travis, after she gets off the phone with him, after her Justice's father, he understands. He's like, okay, I'll give it time. And then Kelly attempts to call Justice again. Of course, he hasn't been answering the phone since the last episode. So she's like panicking, freaking out. Okay, so next thing you know, Lucian calls Natalie. Natalie is at the burger joint that she works at. And he is like, what are you doing? You should be on your way home. She was like, oh, well, I stopped by my job before I got there. And then he's like, what? Like, you need to hurry. You said you were coming here. You didn't say you were going to stop there. She was like, I know, but I still run the store. I had to stop and check on it. He was like, but I need you here. I believe that he has like a surprise for her or something. And so she's like, okay, I'll be there. And he's like, is Mr. King there? Which was her boss. And she's like, no, but you won't believe it. He came to the hospital. He's not mad. He actually offered Joey like his job back here, and things are just going so good. And so Lucia's like, he's not mad about Fawn being hurt. He's like, no, like he was actually really happy that Joey was there to help. So things are just going so great. So I'm gonna finish up a few things in the store, in my store. And Lucian is like, no, you're not finishing up anything. You're stopping now, and you're coming here. Okay, so she's like, gotcha. Next thing you know, we see Marcy. Marcy in the same gray dress she'd been in for a couple of episodes. Marcy walks into Brad's office, which I'm a little confused because she walked in a seductive manner. And from Marcy and Brad's previous conversation when they were at their apartment they have together, they were both basically on the same like mindset as, okay, we hate our spouses, but we still love them, and we can't help it. And these traumatic things have happened, and we're concerned about them. And Brad was telling Marcy, just lay off of Alex. She's been through a lot. And Marcy is like, you still love her, don't you? And he's like, I never doubted that. Basically, I don't know what I want to do. I might go back to her, to be honest. And I'm like, that always happens, right? Like, life doesn't really work like that where like they go and be with the side chick, but whatever. So next thing you know, she's like, you know what, I'm not ready to let you go. And he's like, I just need you to give me like some space. Like, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. I'll be home later, maybe. And she's like, okay, well, where are you going in between then? And he's like, I don't know. She's like, are you going to go talk to her? And then he's like, maybe. I don't know. I mean, if you could just lay off of her. And she's like, I'll lay off of her if she stops, like, looking at me like she's innocent. Like, really, when you mad at somebody, you just, like, they can be just happy and seeming like they're shining, but you're still bothered. So, like, you really want them to look mad, too. That's really Marcy's problem. So he's like, you know what? I'll tell her that to lay off of you. And she's like, you're going to tell her. So when y'all start talking again? I'm like, girl, that's his wife at the end of the day. So whatever. Then she decides to turn the heat up. She's like, let me say bye. But before I say bye, let me go sit on this man's lap. Try to talk to him and convince him, like, I know we shouldn't be together, but I'm not ready to leave. And, I just need somebody to be here for me right now. And I need a shoulder to cry on. And we all know what that's going to turn into. And then he's kind of like feeding into like her flirtation. And so then like she's like, oh, I can tell you're getting excited, like physically. And he's like, yeah, and for that reason, you're going to have to go. And so you could tell a part of him, he's like, dang, I kind of want to save my marriage. And so then he starts like wrestling, play fighting with her as she gets up out of his lap. And then he's like, whoa, what's going on with your stomach? And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, it's different. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Of course, she hasn't told anybody that she's pregnant. And so he's like, something is definitely going on. Now, from what I remember from these first couple of episodes, she's like 4 months pregnant. So I'm thinking, was she recently with Brad? I don't even remember if it was recent, like after Alex's baby was born, or Or is this the time where she was actually with Randall when Randall was trying to make Alex jealous in the window? Because I really think it's Randall. But I could be wrong, but I think it's Randall's baby. And he's going to be elated. And I don't know, I don't know. Babies can't save relationships or marriages, but it might give him a little bit more time. I don't know. So then the next thing you know, he's like, yeah, something's definitely different. I'm thinking maybe he felt that her stomach was hard or something. She's like, no, it's not. He's like, it's a crazy thought. What if, like, I got you pregnant? Wouldn't that be crazy? And then she's like, no, that I'm sure, like, that's not happening. But why would that be crazy? He's like, well, I'm just saying. She's like, I don't understand what you're saying. He's like, whoa, don't get so defensive. And she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna leave. And so she knows in the back of her mind maybe that's a possibility. So that scene kind of confused me, but I'm still on, like, Team Randall. I think it's Randall's baby. Okay, so because remember, Brad got, like, the procedure done. Okay, anywho, so next thing you know, we're back at Randall's house. His doorbell rings. He goes downstairs, answers the door. Beautiful woman that goes by the name of Tippa Haynes. So this lets me know, well, the episode is called Tippa Haynes. We're going to meet somebody named Tippa Haynes, and clearly she's going to perhaps become an important character on the show because a whole episode was named after her. So, but in her introduction, she really didn't appear to be an important person. She's just the DNA, like, examiner person that's coming in there to draw blood and swab Randall's mouth to make sure that Alex's baby is his baby. So, of course, she's like all like thick with it, and he's like really like admiring her physique. She's like, oh, you have a nice house, oh, you have muscles, oh, that's sexy. Like, she's kind of leading him on in a sense. And then he like is basically like, oh, I left something upstairs, like in my bedroom, do you want to go get it? And she's like, no. And then she mentioned something about, yeah, me and my wife, blah 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 blah. Now, in my mind, I'm like, okay, she could legit have a wife and not be interested in males at all. Or that's just the line she's using. Like, I've seen many other girls use on guys that they don't want them to continue to go after them, to, like, approach them in any type of way. So they'll say that they're, like, lesbian when really they're not. I don't personally think Tippa Haynes is. I think she's just playing hard to get with Randall because he's in a mess right now with this DNA thing. So Tippa assumes that, oh, Randall's not taking care of his kids, and he's like, no, actually, like, I want the kid. She is saying that she slept with several people. So actually, do you have anybody else on your list to go and swab? And she's like, nope, nobody else on my list. Duh, because Alex was lying to you, Randall, but you, of course, would take it to heart. And so he's like, well, actually, she's been sleeping with this guy named Lucian. He lives right down the street. You may as well go down there and get his, too. And then she's like, I can't do that because I don't have court orders. He's like, okay, well, you could just call the number and get it requested and get it done right now. And she's like, okay, maybe I'll do that. Okay, so whatever. Then that scene's over with. Next thing you know, it goes right back to Kelly at work, still freaking out. Of course, she's calling Justice. He's not picking up the phone. She calls Esperanza. She's freaking out. Esperanza is talking to the police officer at the station. The police officer is trying to search for a signal from Travis or Justice's phone. They're not getting a signal because maybe the battery is taken out of it. I'm not sure, but it's just really bad at that point because Kelly is like losing it. Then the police officer says, yes, he has a warrant for Travis, but then he kind of starts like questioning Kelly's behavior, and is this something that she set up to make Travis look bad? And so Esperanza's like, what are you talking about? I know her. This is my friend. She wouldn't do that. And he's like, well, she sends all these crazy text messages to him, and Esperanza's like, what are you, a rookie? Like, anybody can lie and say they sent text messages or make it look like they sent text messages. And he's like, okay, but he filed a restraining order. She doesn't have a restraining order. So Esperanza's like, freak, I told this girl to get this restraining order. So Esperanza gets on the phone with Kelly to say, like, why didn't you do the restraining order? And Kelly's like, what? Don't come at me like that. Like, I didn't do the restraining order because I kept calling the lawyer, whoever, and the person wasn't picking up the phone. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, I called a million times trying. So the next thing you know, she's like, okay, well, give me the number. And then and then Esperanza tries to call. Of course, they say, like, the lawyer's out of town or something. Come to think of it, Esperanza finds out that the lawyer actually goes to Travis's church. So they're probably working together. So I'm like, dang, Travis is nuts. So next thing you know, the police officer says, hey, we got a signal. We got a location of where the phone is. And so Kelly is like, okay, I'm rushing to where you guys are. And next thing you know, they end up right in front of Kelly's house. I'm like, what? Like, and then there's a bunch of police. They're about to, like, kick in the door. Kelly is like, I gotta go inside. Esperanza is like, I can't let you go inside. This is police work. Like, this could be a dangerous, like, scene right now. And of course, Kelly's freaking out because this is her kid. So she just wants to get to him and make sure he's safe. And so she's like, this is probably some of the best acting she's done in the history of this show. So, but whatever the case, she is freaking out. All of a sudden, all the police officers come outside and they're coughing, like, hysterically, like they can't breathe. And she's like, what? I got to get in there because if my baby's phone is in there, my baby is in there. If y'all coming out not breathing, I mean, like, hard, and it's hard to breathe. Is he even breathing at all? So she's flipping out. And then, of course, that's when the show goes off. So we shall have to wait till next week, but it was a pretty climactic episode in my opinion, so I enjoyed it. Anywho, shout out to Tippa Haynes on this episode. She was from Hit the Floor. I don't know if anybody used to watch that, but I loved that show, and she died on that show, but now she's reincarnated as Tippa Haynes. So, anywho, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out at theperspectiveshowpk.com. That is my new project. Or on Facebook at The Perspective Show PK. No spaces. It will pull up The Perspective and check out our episodes. Okay, as always, bye.